Now that we are done with our sustain patch, let's add another articulation with two different dynamics. And specifically, let's add the pizzicato. So I'm going to switch back to my regular view. And we're going to do the same as we did before by dragging our samples into the previous samples. But this time we're talking about the pizzicato. And see, they have two different dynamics. So it will require a little bit of work here. And in order to make it easier, I'm going to first do all the assignment in a different octave and then drag the samples down because it's going to be a little bit easier. So I'm going to just take the E1 and then my next sample, a G1. And as you can see, I'm going to start with the piano samples, right? So E1 piano, I'm going to go to my G1 piano. And for the pizzicato, I used larger intervals. So these are all my piano samples, right? So what I want to do is to have them triggered by different velocities between piano and mezzo and forte. So what I'm going to do is just select an area here in velocity, right? This is my velocity from basically 1 to 127 that I think the piano will work. Now I'm going to drag the forte samples, right? And we'll also choose a velocity that works well with the forte samples. So I'm going to demonstrate this with E1 forte sample. So I'm going to just overlap my E1 piano, but now I'm going to raise the lower part so that the two samples, piano and forte, overlap a little bit. I'm going to do that for all the samples. If I trigger these zones, this is a piano and this is a forte sample. Now in the area in between, at the moment I'm hearing both samples, which is not something I want. So I'm going to select both zones, right click, and select the batch tools. In the batch tools, I'm going to choose auto apply crossfade by velocity. This means that in the area where the two zones overlap, one will be faded out and the other one will be faded in. And I can even see it graphically by selecting one zone. I can see that it's fading out while the upper zone fades in. So this is going to give me a very nice smooth transition between the two different dynamics. So I'm going to do the same for all the other samples. Okay, now that I have created all the different zones both for forte samples and piano samples of pizzicato, I want to create a group of all these samples because I want to be able to switch the group with a key switch. So again, I'm going to select them all, right click, I'm going to choose Move Zones to New Empty Group. This is my new group, which I'm going to call pizzicato. Now the final thing is to move this to the right octave, right, so that I'm able to play them all at the same time. And then with this group selected, I'm going to go to my group start option and make sure that they start on a key, and the key is going to be a free key switch which should be my D0. So again, by selecting with my key switches, now I should be able to select the different articulations. This is my sustained down bow. Let me move the octave here so we can see it, right? Here's with the one I'm triggering at the moment. I'm going to switch to up bow. And now I'm going to switch to pizzicato. Down bow. So this was very easy, right? Basically, once you understand the concept of zones, which are samples assigned to a key or a key range, the concept of groups, which allows me to group different articulations so that I can switch them later, and the concept of switching a group based on certain rules. We could have the ones switched by key for key switches, but as I said, you can also have controllers, or by a round robin, which allows me to automatically and randomly switch between variations, for example. So this is how you create your own sample library. Different steps, right? So start with good recordings, good samples, accurate samples, then edit them down. Make sure that you trim the beginning and end. Name them correctly. Then bring them in, create zones. Make sure you loop them if you have to loop them. Set them in groups, and then decide what's going to trigger a group switch. And there you have it. You have a sample library. Hope you enjoy it, and I look forward to hear your own work. Bye.